Hello, welcome to another Daily Digest video. I am Merriam. Today I'm playing a little bit of Modern, but with a standard card that is in my opening hand. How convenient. This is an Esper control deck that utilizes the Scarab God as one of its win conditions. Interesting win condition for Modern. Sort of hard to deal with threat outside of Path to Exile. We're not really using the Scry effect because the deck doesn't really create zombies, but I'm sure making 4/4 Tarmogoyfs and 4/4 Death Shadows, I don't know, any sort of 4, just creating 4/4s on demand. Maybe we get some like 4/4 Eternal Witnesses or Knight of the Reliquaries or something cool like that. Well, Knight not great in this deck. I guess we have some planes, but 4/4 creatures that do something else will hopefully help us out as well. As for this hand, we are lacking white mana for this Lingering Souls, but we can conceivably discard it to Brutality anyway, and we have early interaction with the Brutality itself and Inquisition, so I believe I will keep this. See what our opponent does. They have mulligan to 6. That should make our discard spells that much more effective. Good news is that we have this Inquisition that should inform exactly what we want to do with Brutality. We'll see if our opponent wants to play a creature or if they have some instant or sorcery they want to discard. They've kept 6 and Scry to the top, so I'll go to my turn. No point in taking damage, don't need blue mana right now, so I will just Inquisition them. And in case you can't see, because this window is pretty small, it looks like our opponent is a Dredge deck, and our Brutality is not going to be very good, because we're 100% taking this Faithless Looting right now, and our opponent's hand is 2 lands and 3 of the creatures in the Dredge package. They did Scry on top, and given this hand and my experience with Dredge, I guess, yeah, they probably Scryed a Dredger to the top. The only other, it's either, a Dredger would be great. I'd be happy if they have to just draw a card and do nothing. I would also have Scryed another Faithless Looting or Cathartic Reunion to the top, so let's hope that it is not one of those. But it does mean we're going to have to hold on to this Brutality. So take the Faithless Looting and pass a turn. I don't think this matchup is very good, especially game 1, but their hand is definitely exploitable. So they did not draw Faithless Looting. They could still have drawn a Cathartic Reunion with that draw step. So this is a white source for our Lingering Souls. Is there, just in case they drew man, what am I thinking? Cathartic Reunion, as I've said. So just in case we've drawn Cathartic Reunion, they have drawn. Is there merit to just me throwing away this Brutality? I don't think the card is going to do very much outside of this. I think we're essentially going to be on this sort of racing plan. And taking a Cathartic Reunion is really good if they have it. If they don't, then any of these other modes I don't think is going to do a lot. So I'm actually going to take the risk here and just see if they've drawn a Cathartic Reunion. Likely we're throwing away 2 mana for nothing. Oh, I'm so good at this game. I am fantastic. Ooh, I love it. Get it out of there. Oh, those are the plays you just love. You can't not like that. It's just great. Oh, don't tell me you drew another one. This is not fair. Oh my God, it's not fair. The world is not fair. There is no justice. Oh my God. Why? Why would they do that to me? Now they have 3 new cards. They probably have a 3rd land. There's Faithless Looting. They're going to get back a bunch of stuff. Come on. We have plenty of mana. I'm not going to take any extra damage. They have had a slow draw here. Maybe we can get somewhere with this Lingering Souls. But I am peeved that they drew another Cathartic Reunion. Oh my... Ah! Why? Why would they do this to me? Oh wow. Oh wow, they didn't find another land. They didn't find another land. They didn't find another land. We're doing it. We are doing it. Oh, yes. Take 2, please. They're on 5 cards. They're not even close to discarding. If they don't find another land soon, let's flash this back. Maybe we can like return their own blood gas. Play this tapped. Oh, no land, no land. Oh, such a rewarding game. It only lasted 4 turns, but oh, it feels great. Just get that cathartic reunion out of there. Now I feel like I'm on the other side of a feeling I don't always get to experience, being on that side of screwing over the dredge player. It feels pretty good, let me tell you. I understand a little bit of why all of you like doing it. Our sideboard is fairly well set up for this matchup. We have 4 direct graveyard hate cards between Grafdigger's Cage and Surgical, and I like a nice mix. We also have Flying Tendrils, which is great at getting rid of Narcomoebas and Bloodghasts. We'll get rid of these Damnations, which are quite poor in the matchup. I also think Liliana of the Veil is quite poor. Does that mean I want to bring in any other card? I like discard spells. Normally they're not great against Dredge, but taking their Cathartic Reunions and Faithless Lootings, as we saw in that game, is quite important. I think Spreading Seas is quite good. I think maybe the Sorin is good. I don't really want more brutalities. I could try to like, Crucible Ghost Quarter them, but I don't think I don't have Ghost. I have Tech Edge. Yeah, if it was Ghost Quarter, I'd be more inclined. But this card might help me win races. When you have some graveyard hate to stunt the development of the dredge deck, then you get into these normalized games where racing actually matters, and I think Sorin can help us out there more than any of the other cards in our sideboard. It's not great, but I think it's the best. Discard not as good on the draw, obviously, because they get a turn to cast their Faithless Looting, but we do have a Grafdigger's Cage here, and that is great. So I'm definitely keeping this hand with some disruption, and at least something to clock them with Lingering Souls. So I'll keep. Depending upon how threatening their turn 1 play is, I might Cage on 1, or I might Thoughtseize to potentially protect the Cage. Any Faithless Looting discarding a Dredger will prompt the Cage for me, though. Especially because they didn't get a green source for a Nature's Claim. Oh, wow. Their own Thoughtseize. Okay, well, that lets them take my Cage. Good play on them, but now I get to Thoughtseize away a potential enabler. And if they don't have multiples of them, then it'll be really difficult for them to get off the ground here. And we'll see what they have. Again, no reason to take any excess damage. Ugh. Well, that was about worst case scenario. They have 2 Life in the Loams, which they can cast to get a Dredger in the yard, and an Amalgam they want in the yard anyway. Given that they have no way to get the Amalgam in the yard, I'm tempted to just take away a Loam and let them dredge 3. Is dredge 3 more valuable to them than putting an Amalgam in the yard? Tough to say. They have max 12 of those sorts of creatures they want to put in the graveyard, and they're dredging from 52 cards. But I could put Conflagrate or other dredgers in their graveyard. Oh, man. And it's the value of Dredge 3 relative to drawing a card, too. So that card could be Cathartic Reunion or Faithless Looting. I'm going to take the risky line and actually put the Loam in their yard. But that was about worst case scenario for us to see from a Thoughtseize. We'll see what they mill over. Okay, they mill an Amalgam and a bunch of lands. That was also pretty close to worst case scenario, so they get back a ton, including a Sheltered Thicket. Sheltered Thicket is very good with this Loam plan. We don't have much of a clock. A Surgical would be an excellent draw here. But that's about it. Okay, well, there's no point in me brutalitying them. We know their hand. It's the 3 lands. Right, so 3 lands, 4 lands, a loam, and an amalgam because they had a land in their opener or in their previous hand. So maybe we can get they're probably going to crack a fetch here because of the loam. So we'll be able to Shadow of Doubt for some value. Ugh. That's a great 3. They're going to bring back a Bloodghast and an Amalgam and an Archimedes all at once and have another loam in their yard. Yeah, that is some pretty near dredging. I assume that they're going to not... They could cycle, I guess, but... Yeah, I guess cycling actually makes a lot of sense here with no lands there. They could hit another dredger. Yeah, I think they're cycling here. Especially, and it's smart for them to do it before they play a land in case they have more Bloodghasts or more Amalgams. So they do hit another dredger for next turn, and this Conflagrate, and another land. So yeah, doubt we are winning this game at this point. And they don't even have any reason to fetch on their turn to let us use the Shadow of Doubt, but they do anyway. So I like that. I think they were just doing it to get some F6 value. We'll get a Hallowed Fountain. Cast. So at least we get to do something this turn. Keeping them off mana when they're on this loam Shelter Thicket plan is also relevant, so I'm not going to get too mad at that. Another land is not what we need, though. Flaying Tendrils would be good. Detention Sphere is not bad. I think we can wait on it. So if I cast Lingering Souls here, there's a good chance my opponent just dredges Imp and then Conflagrates for a number. Let's say they want to discard Imp and Amalgam for sure, and it can kill the 2 spirits with just those, and they probably discard a loam too, and just deal me 1 to ensure they have some extra dredgers. Then they get to attack for 6. They don't get to return the Amalgam though, unless they mill over another Bloodghast. So there is no guarantee that my D-Sphere gets to 2 for 1 next turn. And this play of Lingering Souls, let them kill it for value and attack me for a bunch, is also not particularly appealing. None of our plays are good at this point. The question is which one gives us the best chance of winning. And I would guess it's being able to 2 for 1 with this D-Sphere. So, and getting them to potentially waste this Conflagrate early for a low number is also something I'm interested in. So, sure, let's cast Lingering Souls and pass the turn. Bring my graveyard up as well. See what this Imp mills. Jesus, another Imp, another Archimedes, and another Bloodghast. All in those 5 cards is quite good as well. They have 7 cards, so they can't kill both spirits and bring me to 10 and return the Bloodghast. They're 1 short of that. 1 short because I Shadow Doubt, by the way. If they had 3 lands, they could cast a loam, play a 4th land, and still be up cards. So they're holding off on the Conflagrate, which means I want to trade off these spirits as much as I possibly can. Interestingly, that they're now stuck returning this Bloodghast potentially while leaving that Amalgam stranded in their hand. I'm 100% trading off for an Archimedes if I can. The question is if I chump Amalgam, because I'm going to D-Sphere these Bloodghasts. I don't think I chump the Amalgam because I can trade for this Archimedes, which is also important. So I'll go to 10. Up to 8 cards from the loam, so I guess they get to discard the Amalgam now, yeah. Which they think is good because these Bloodghasts they have access to these Bloodghasts. Interesting. I'm going to set a stop on their draw step in case I want a surgical then. But for now, I'm just going to D-sphere. Blood gas. There's a chance I want a surgical conflagrate because the Loam conflagrate is such a powerful engine that I don't really have an answer to. Yes. There's also a chance I need to surgical Narcomoebas or prized amalgams or something like that. So let's see what they want to do. They did hit a Narcomoeba. Although I guess I'm tapped out. I absolutely need to hit conflagrate here. I missed that. So why don't I do that? I could have, I guess, no, yeah, because they have another loam. Even if I had fetched for the other swamp here and hardcast this, leaving myself at 9, they could loam up to 10 cards, play a land down to 9, and get the other point. So I do absolutely need to hit conflagrate here, which means this Narcomoeba is going to bring back this amalgam. I'll trade for this Narcomoeba and go to 5. Okay. I'm not exactly sure what they're trying to do with this. Like you would think they would want to get the conflagrates out of their deck so they have a better chance of hitting their other cards with that dredge. Especially with I should have let this trigger resolve and still done it on their draw step. So that a little misstep for me. Yeah, they have some lands, a bunch of sticky nymphs, and some loams. So let's take their conflagrates. And I can flash back another Lingering Souls. They're at the point where they're just going to start hardcasting Stinkweed Imps. And I'm going to have to deal with all these 1/2s. Which is also mildly annoying. Oh, whoa. Oh. I did the thing with surgical where I didn't click the card in their graveyard. That's annoying. That essentially locks this game up, although I was about under 1% to win anyway. So I'm not too mad at myself. Here I can crack a fetch and fatal push an amalgam and collective brutality this Narcomoeba and then go to 1 and be dead on board with them having 2 lethal creatures. So I guess I can do that with Lingering Souls, so let's do that. Knowing that I have to click on this card. Why is there another conflagrate there? Oh, I didn't. They had 2 of that. Yeah, they hit the second. I didn't hit either in their yard. So that they're one of the lists that plays 4. Sure. Yeah, they get to conflagrate twice for 4 here, force me to have a counter spell. If one of them resolves, they have a lethal attack. I'm just going to concede this game. Okay. Well, they had a fairly ideal hand against us with the Thoughtseize to answer our cage and made a hand that was resilient to our Thoughtseize. But the reality is that our deck just doesn't provide much of a clock. Lingering Souls isn't great. These cards are okay, especially Tassiger, but hopefully on the play, our Graveyard Hate will be a little bit better. And our discard spells. Taking game 1 is definitely a big game. It's hard for Dredge to squeak out both of the post-sideboard games. Now, even though our sideboard is not very good. Fatal Push is not a good card to have post-board in this matchup. Maybe Damnation is better than Fatal Push, I don't know. Costing 4 mana, though, is so much. So we have a hand without any graveyard hate in it. But we do have a Torment Thoughtseize, which is our next best thing, essentially. We can also like Thoughtseize, Faithful Saluting, then Brutality, Cathartic, and go from there, and maybe play Tasigur, get a clock on. If they don't have a Loam, this hand's pretty good as far as our non-graveyard hate hands go. We have 4 pieces of graveyard hate. That puts us at maybe 35% or so to have one in a 6-card hand. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head. I think this hand is a little bit better than that to win. I'm going to keep. And we can also just draw into graveyard hate as well. Opponent keeps 7. Good for that. Thoughtseize. Oh wow, this is not a good 7. I'm very surprised if they would keep this. I'm definitely taking the Thoughtseize. There's no point in me putting these other things in their graveyard. I assume they'll cast a Stinkweed on turn 3, which is not the worst. I don't have Path Exile, so that might be good enough. But that gives us a lot of time to find more stuff. So 4 lands, Amalgam, Stinkweed. We'll have plenty of time to potentially find some good interaction. No surprise. And we are once again placed in a strange situation. I can Inquisition hoping to hit Cathartic Reunion, or I can Brutality doing the same, which I think I'll do, because then I'm not forced to take Imp or Amalgam from their hand. It's only if they draw Life from the Loam that I get really punished. Fetch is a 2nd card in the graveyard. Brutality is a 3rd. I do want a 4th to play Tasigur. I am going to take some extra damage here to make sure I have double black for a Flaying Tendrils. I'll find a Watery Grave here. And I'm just going to discard the Inquisition and duress them and gain 2 life. This Inquisition really isn't doing anything else. See if I... Okay, they've drawn another Stinkweed Imp, that's fine. As bad as their opening hand is, we are not in great shape, because our clock is pretty bad against these Stinkweed Imps. If we can find a Surgical, or a Cage, or even land plus Flaying Tendrils, then I'll like our spot, but I don't know how likely that is. And they could easily find Cathartic Reunion or something like that in these next couple draws. We will do what we can. This Fatal Push is not very good. There is the chance, if they start casting Stinkweed Imps and don't get to discard a Dredger, that we could just build up a large board with Spirits, and then Fatal, maybe have 2 removal spells, set up a turn where we just kill both their things, attack for 12, and present lethal while they have very little time to respond. But that's a lot of time, especially if we don't hit a land here, and we hit about the worst card, so... Yeah, we're just going to be sitting here, and that is not exactly where we want to be. The Dredge deck has surprising inevitability. There we go. It's a Loam. Feels like a Loam. Yep. Okay, well, now they're dredging. So if I draw a fetch, this... Oh, wow. Oh, just hard casting this Bloodghast, that's fine. Doesn't really do anything. So that does not turn on Fatal Push, so let's just make some spirits. Yeah, this is not going well. As soon as they hit a Conflagrate, our board position sort of crumbles. And there is a Conflagrate and another Dredger. No lands to return with the Loam. They can Conflagrate for 5. Probably not really worthwhile for them. Okay, I guess they just want to kill this Tasigur. I'd be pretty happy with that. So they have 2 red in their bowl. Looks like they're trying to cast this Conflagrate. But I don't really think they should. Okay, well, it does get this Amalgam in their yard. It looks like, yeah, 1/1/3. So they get me to 10, so their Bloodghast have haste. Sure. Yeah, they still don't attack. Ugh. Another Fatal Push is not very good. Well, let's cast another Lingering Souls, and I don't know, maybe we can get to a point where we do something relevant. I assume they're returning Loam here. That's definitely what I would do. Even though it doesn't dredge as hard. Just getting cards in your hand to set up potential Conflagrates is so strong. Getting lands if they mill over Bloodghast. And that is what they did. They hit a bunch of lands and another Loam. Yeah, I mean, they're getting it. Oh. So I can either take 2 or let them get back an Amalgam. I think letting them get back an Amalgam is fine, because I can then block that the next turn, and I think I take less overall by just being more aggressive in how I block. Eventually I get up down to 6 spirits, so if they never hit a Narcomoeba or cast another Imp, which they already have one of, I can deal 15, the 5th triangular number. Still not very impressive. Well, I can start activating Tasigur, or I can flashback multiple Lingering Souls, which I think is better. If I can find a Fatal Push, then I can start actually getting a good amount of traction here. Or I can find a fetch land for the Fatal Push, I mean. So let's make some spirits and pass the turn. I'll take 2 here, put the Amalgam in the yard. Good chance they dredge the Imp on this turn. And they do. Good dredging from our opponent. Thought I brought this graveyard up, but... Oh man, another Amalgam and another Narcomoeba is a very good draw. Oh man. This might be a little bit too much. The Amalgam especially is really good because it makes my block on this Amalgam pretty poor. Because this second Amalgam will come in on their end step, trigger the first Amalgam that is now in the graveyard that will come back on my end step and be able to attack the following turn. So I don't really gain a lot of traction. I'm just preventing damage. I'm still going to make the block because they have lands in hand to return the Bloodghast anyway. Oh, wow. That is a weird non-attack. They get both creatures back regardless. But I'm happy I saved myself 2 damage this way, so that's nice. Fetch land would be great here. Ooh. Okay, now. Awkward now that I've returned a bunch of spirits. So I think the best play is to attack with all of these spirits. and not the Tassiger. They can max block 3 of them and take 3, which is more than Tassiger opposed to Flaying Tendrils will get in. And I'm guessing they'll only block 2 of them and keep their Narcomoeba alive. So I will get 4 damage in here. Not a bad chunk. I will... Oh, they do block 3. Okay, so I'll get 3. Still not a bad chunk of damage. Yeah, we have these weird triggers that don't matter. Now I will Flaying Tendrils. And then I'll get to Fatal Push a Prized Amalgam. And the Flaying Tendrils will ensure that Prized Amalgam is exiled. And then the Tassiger can block the other one. So I prevent a crack back. I deal with most of their board. They do still have various dredgers. The one thing that I've let them do is if they return and cast this Thug, they can get the Narcomoeba back. But I did not expect that block to happen. They have land, so I assume the Thug gets dredged here. And probably cast. Yep, they did dredge the Thug. They hit another Imp, which is quite good. Yep, cast it. If I can get the Scarab God down, maybe I can start making some headway. Okay. Let's play this. We are in a really weird game, but you'd be surprised at how often Dredge plays games like this. Now I can potentially Fatal Push the Thug, and then with the trigger on the stack, exile whatever creature they target. And the Scarab God gets to attack into Stinkweed Imp reasonably well. Not that well, actually. Oh, well, they just dredged Loam this turn. I'm a little surprised at that, but they did hit Sheltered Thicket, which is about the best card they could have dredged into if they brought back Loam. So, good job them. Didn't quite see the other cards they brought back. Ghost Quarter, unsurprised, and Cliffs, probably a land they don't care about. I think they're about to start Ghost Quartering me. I don't have that many basics. Another Amalgam and a Looting that they can flash back, not bad. Yeah, and then Loam again. That one got back. Sheltered Thicket, Mountain Gemstone Mine don't much matter. Yeah, these aren't zombies. Yeah, this is a god. This is a human shaman, so not going to get any value out of that trigger. Is this Inquisition at all good? They have a million lands in their hand, right? So don't think that is going to be at all good. So they don't have any profitable blocks. So let's attack, and then if they want a Thug, I can target whatever they want to bring back. We're at the point where Conflagrate is going to be a really big deal. Okay. Can't really beat a Conflagrate if they ever mill one. And they have many more. Usually you trim 1 or 2 in matchups like this. I've already seen 1. So they have 1 or 2 left in their deck. They're down to 27 cards. What is this targeting? Targeting Golgari Thug. Okay. Well, I don't think I care much about them putting a Thug on top of their deck. So I'm actually just going to let that happen. And then when they dredge, maybe I should just get rid of this Stinkweed Imp, actually. Yeah, actually, I like getting rid of the Stinkweed Imp a lot. So let's do that. Stinkweed Imp is the best blocker. Also flies. So they're gonna have a hard time blocking it. I can Fatal Push a potential Narcomoeba. Maybe the Scarab God can win this game. Oh, and it's a zombie too? Oh no, they hit Conflagrate. Well, we might be dead now. We're not quite. They're one short. Yeah. So they're one short of killing us. Unfortunately, we are just short of killing them. No, no, no. Okay. Yeah, if they don't put another blocker into play here, then I can tech edge a land of theirs and have that turn on Revolt for Fatal Push. So if they just pass here, I can't imagine that they do with this Faithless Looting in their graveyard. Have to imagine that they're at least casting it. But they have to hit something good. I guess they can mill or dredge a Thug in a Loam and cast a Thug and get a second blocker. So I don't think we're in good shape here. I think this Conflagrate's going to get us just in time. Oh no, they're just choosing to use it. Also not a bad plan. They have discarded, yeah, their hand is just all lands. But we are going to get the Scarab God back, so I'm actually not that concerned about this play. Okay, then. We'll get... Yeah. Attack for 3 makes sense. Now... Maybe I was supposed to Fatal Push that Amalgam, but I kind of want to just Fatal Push blockers. I guess that sort of does count as a blocker. I probably should have Fatal Pushed there. I wasn't quite thinking too far in advance about that. Okay, this dredge for them is pretty important. They do have a looting, though, to get a lot of dredges. I assume they're getting back a Loam first. Ugh, both of the remaining... That's both of the remaining Bloodghasts, right? Yeah. That is a very good dredge. I assume they Loam here first and then flashback, yeah. So they Loam up to 3 cards. They looting. They play a land. So I'm not dead to Conflagrate. Their Conflagrate is only going to deal 2 if they want to bring back the Bloodghasts. Oh, wow. Very surprised they would play the land first. I don't think that's right. I think they want to flashback the looting first. But if they attack with everything to get damage in here, removing this Amalgam as a blocker, that would be very good for me. Because I think they're going to get back a Thug and try to create another blocker here. Oh, wow, a Cycle? Did they just not realize they have this Faithless Looting? They've had it for several turns and just not flashed it back. This has to be Thug. No, they just dredged another Loam. Oh, I only exiled 1 Bloodghast earlier? Okay, yeah, it was 2 Imps and a Bloodghast. Okay, I guess. Well, they hit all of them. They've already played their land for the turn. Okay, they finally realized they can flashback a Faithless Looting. Narcomoeba would be a pain. But anything other than Narcomoeba and I have lethal with the Tech Edge into Fatal Push play. There's 1 dredge on Loam. Oh, and they hit 2 Narcomoebas. Oh, man. 2 Narcomoebas is probably too many, so I can't even win with a... Is Flaying Tendrils enough? I'm 1 short if I draw Flaying Tendrils. Yeah, I'm going to block because I don't think I can do anything else. Yeah, if I Fatal Pushed this Amalgam, I think I'd be in better shape. Another discard spell. Yeah, I'd be at 8 here. I could attack. They have to block one of them. That's still lethal. Um, I guess I can hold up the push because they're getting back this other. No, they already got back the amalgam. They have. If I were to attack, yeah, they chump block one. If I hold back and fatal push a bloodghast, I still take 6. So if I were at 8, like maybe I'd have a shot if they went for the all-out attack. I wouldn't have the fatal push, and they would have both amalgams still. So they would have a lethal attack, just 3 bloodghasts and 2 narcomoebas. I guess I can activate this. See what I hit. I doubt they give me back surgical. Hmm. Maybe they just give me back fatal push, which would have been very close to good enough. Very, very close. They were pretty good at managing their life total this game too. Yeah, they do give me fatal push. That does not let me survive. Yeah, even if I push both Narcomoebas, they chump this, go to 2, and have a 9-point attack. I guess I can just pass, see if they're, for whatever reason, hesitant, but they're so close to having another Conflagrate here. Maybe they only have 2 left in their deck. Yeah, this dredge didn't hit anything relevant, but I don't think it needed to. Let's get back all these bloodghasts. And see if they screw up. If they do have another, yeah, even if they do have another Conflagrate in their deck, they could even loam plus flashback looting dredge the rest of their deck and still flash it back. So they're not even in any real danger of me not dying from this attack, because that brings them to 4 card. Yeah, they still have a 4-point Conflagrate to follow this up, and if I tap out to deal with the attack, they might have boarded down to 2 Conflagrates. I think if they had only hit 1 Narcomoeba, we would have won this game, I think, or come close to it. I guess if they'd only hit 1 Narcomoeba and I had fatal pushed this amalgam and gone to 8, then I could have won. So, very close game. Maybe I should have mulliganed my opening hand too. A little disappointing not to get that after a well-played game 1 on my part to steal a game against Dredge that you normally shouldn't steal, but that is the way it goes sometimes. And hope you enjoyed watching it, and you can come back and see me on Monday. Bye.